So what's the mood ahead of this one then?
Yeah, we're good. We're doing what we would normally do. We've come off a really good week of training this week. We've had 2 really good sessions, so the mood's strong, the mood's looking forward, and we're confident going into the weekend.
You must feel the teams and the squad's in a very good place.
Yeah, we knew that with the squad keep growing and injuries coming back and having a full strength squad available, we knew it was always going to get better, which means intensity in training's gone up, competitive levels have gone up. You can see now that people are thinking, am I going to play? Am I even going to be in the squad? So it just helps. It just helps with competitive levels within the team.
What would it mean to get an 11-point advantage, albeit with 1 game ahead against the champions at the stage of the season?
Yeah. Well, if any advantage we can take, we'll take it. We want to win the game anyway. So regardless if it was 1 point difference or 5 points difference, whatever that looks like, we want to win the game. We put ourselves under that amount of pressure, really. We take the pressure, we know it comes from outwards, but also within. We put that expectations on ourselves. So, if we can go that far ahead, then we'll take it with both hands.
What are you expecting from City?
It'll be a tough game. We know they've had a tough time of it lately. A couple of, results that haven't gone their way. So, it's looking that they're probably going to come out fighting. They've got a point to prove. They took... I feel that they took 2 points off us last time. So we've got to be wary, and we know that they've got threats. But yeah, I'm not expecting an easy game at all.
Does that draw still rankle?
Sorry?
Does that draw still rankle?
Well, it does and it doesn't, because as I said at the time, it's a long season. Where our squad was at that time, it's not where it's at now. We look very differently with different players on the pitch, and that's the beauty of our squad. Just changing 1 or 2 players can change the dynamic of a team and how it looks and how we play. So, that it's still there, but we've got to use that as motivation to go. We're still in a very strong position in the league. We're still front runners, and we're still playing really good football.
Kirsty, how are the players feeling about this one?
Yeah, I think we're all really excited about it. These are the games that you really want to play in, and obviously it's always a tough game against Glasgow City, and we know how close it is at the top of the table, so these are the ones that everyone's really excited about.
How do the players feel they've been receptive to Joe's wanting?
Yeah, obviously Joe's came in, we've got a new formation as well, which took a bit of time to adapt to, but I think we're really getting the hang of it now and things are starting to click, so our performance levels are going up as well.
And the same question to you, what would a win mean at the stage of the season?
Yeah, obviously we want to get the 3 points, that's what our main objection, but I think there's still a long season ahead. It's definitely not a title decider or anything, but we want to stay at the top of the table because that's where we want to be.
How encouraged have you been, Joe, since you came in, the way the players have taken on your messages and your way of working? It must be really pleasing to see the impact that's had so early on.
Yeah, that's one of the biggest positives for me. I've said previously that I thought it would take a while longer than what it has for them to, perform to the levels that they have, which is encouraging for me because it means we've got another level in us. They're taking things on board. We're doing it day in, day out in training, and we're showing it in the majority of our games. Obviously, we know we're not going to be perfect game in, game out, because that's not football. But for the majority of the time, we're delivering what I'm asking them to do. So that's been one of the most pleasing points for me, yeah.
What's been the secret to that success?
I think it's the buy-in of the players. I think that was the biggest thing for me. I think I have to show them consistency and show them that, what I am asking them to do day in, day out. We don't just throw out the window one week and then use it again the next. They are consistent messages that they do get from me, so they know it's stuff that is going to stay. So I think that the quicker they bought in, the better. And they did it straight away. It was really good to see, and you can see that outcome on the pitch, really.
How have you formed that key team spirit and that key bond? You also need that. Any successful team needs that. Was there anything you did over the summer in the first few weeks, like team meetings or nights out or anything, to just think they forged that early on? Yeah,
well, I had a lot of communication with the players. The first thing I did when I entered the job my first day, I spent 10-15 minutes with each player, having a real good chat and listening to their point of view, stuff that they didn't find went so well last year and stuff that they did find that went so well. So it was looking to see what I could improve early doors and seeing what I could really latch onto, what they really enjoyed last year. So it was just, for me, it was listening to the players, listening to their gripes and their stuff that they wanted to improve, which everybody has, and we know we always needed to improve. And for me to show them the levels that I wanted them to get to and point out my vision and way of working and setting that stall out early.
Just for yourself, Kirsty, how beneficial was that type of communication with the manager and having that chance to kind of put those points across?
Yeah, and I think that's something that's really important to be a successful team, is the communication between the players and the manager. I think you build a level of trust that you can then take onto the pitch, and Jo's never going to moan at you for making a mistake, or that she'll praise you as long as you've tried the right thing, and that's so important. It builds confidence within the team and for yourself.
Jo, can I ask injury update? Sarah Ewens and Kathy Hill?
Yeah, Sarah Ewens is looking good. She's made her way back into the squad now, and it's important for us. I think that she's a player different to what we've got, and I think she's going to bring a different level to our game, which is great to see. Another player entering the squad gives me another headache. We're still unsure on Kathy at the moment. She's still having a few tests and seeing how far we can get through tomorrow.
So she won't be available Sunday?
We're not sure. We're going to make that decision tomorrow.
Kirsty, can I ask you, and then I'm going to ask Jo if you can comment on this as well. You seem to be the mainstay now of this team, and you've been performing really well. How are you coping with that expectation as somebody that's still so young?
I think obviously still being a young player, I maybe didn't expect to play as much as I have this season, but I think the girls around me need to take credit for that, the way they've took me under their wing and encouraged me on the pitch helps build me confidence. But I think with the squad depth, as Jo touched on earlier, is huge in this team, and everyone's capable of doing a job. So if I want to keep playing, then I know I need to keep performing.
Jo, can I just ask you about Kirsty's performances? Obviously she's been keeping established players out, but she has flourished. How has that happened, and what have you done to kind of help that, and how proud are you of her performances?
Oh, immensely. I think she's a young player, but as an old head on her shoulders, you can see she sees the game light years ahead of her actual age. So when she's playing the game, she makes it look easy. She links our play really well. She's been a mainstay for us because she's performing, and I think that's a big message that we do send. She trains well, she's a good athlete, she's a good professional, and she plays well when she plays on the weekend. So I think that's part of our standards and our expectations, what we expect throughout the team. So she's delivering on all those levels. She's going to keep a shirt and keep performing.
That's nice to hear. We've spoke before about the youngsters in the team as such, but like Samia, Jodie, Kirsty, the elevation of these players this year has been incredible. So it was great to see Laura Berry come in and score her first goal last week. So is this, I've asked you this before, but not to kind of repeat myself, but that's the plan of the club, to keep influencing the youngsters and get them in the team, and do you foresee a kind of similar pathway for Laura that the girls have already shown?
Absolutely, and it'll always come back on those players. I don't think they would be in that position and be able to play the amount of minutes that they've played if it wasn't warranted. As we're talking about Kirsty keeping some really experienced players out of the team, it's because she's performing. And if they are performing and they are training well and they are taking on information, they will always get a chance with me. Doesn't really matter so much about their age. If they can prove that they can do it day in, day out, where the stuff matters on the training pitch, then they will always get a chance to perform on a Sunday. And that's what we've seen on numerous occasions now, that the players have stepped up, and I think it's only credit to them and shows the work that they're putting in, day out, and not just on the pitch but off the pitch as well. They're really integrated into the team well. They're doing a lot of work off the pitch, in team meetings, making sure that they're taking on information really well. So, they're doing everything that they can to get as many minutes as they can.
Can I just ask you as well, probably Kirsty, I'll ask you first, and then Jo, if I can ask you this sort of same question, but if we go back to the Celtic game a couple of weeks ago when Rangers went behind, there was no panic, there was no change in how we adopted our style, and it was just saying keep the ball on the ground, keep playing. You popped up with the equaliser, and then we went ahead and won that game. And I'm not going to say it was comfortable, but in playing football we were by far the better side. And we've maybe seen last year where we've struggled in those positions, and that's been a complete turnaround. How much are you enjoying that? How much does that speak volumes for the players actually believing in what Jo is trying to implement and the style that we're trying to do?
Yeah, definitely. I think it shows our character as a team. We spoke after the game and we said that we never quite performed as well as we could have until we went 1-0 down. So I think that's something that we need to kind of implement from the start of the game rather than wait until we're 1-0 down. But it just shows the resilience that we've got to be able to go and get that equaliser, and then even more to get the winner. It just shows that we're all together on the pitch, and the subs that came on in that game especially, I think they had a huge impact as well. So again, that's the squad depth, that no matter who comes on the pitch, the standard's not going to drop.
So that's the same for you, Jo, just no matter what happens in the game, keep playing, keep our style, keep playing the game?
Yeah, we've got a way of playing and a style of play, and know that what we have been doing has been working. So for me, there was no panic. I knew we was always going to create chances. I knew we had subs that come off the bench and make an impact and change the game. You know, a Brogan for a Lizzie Arnott looks very different, and it can change our style of play and how we want to attack. So we know that we can change a game with subs. I think our subs in that game took us on to another level when we needed it. And I think just the consistency of the players knowing what we're working towards. You know, we give the same messages. We knew how we could beat Celtic, and the girls showed that throughout the game. We knew that there was no panic. So I think for me, it showed that the players had that belief in what we were doing and knew that we was always going to create a chance, and knew we had some excellent players on the end of it to produce a moment of magic, really.
Jo, would you consider this game to be a season-defining moment if you are to create that gap of 11 points?
No, not really, because we've seen how much it can change just in the matter of a couple of weeks. If you have a tough run of fixtures, then you know two losses or a couple of draws can just make that gap even bigger. So you know it can change like that, and we do know it's a long season, and we're still pre-Christmas right now. So for as much as it would be nice for us to have that gap and have that buffer, I'm not going to say it's a season-defining moment for the other team right now, no.
Do you feel that you're a much better side now than when you were to face City a couple of weeks ago in that draw?
Yeah, I think we've been improving week on week. I think our squad size says that itself. Being able to fill a bench for the starters, that really helps. And I just think it makes that we've played a few games now back to back. We've had some good performances. Fitness levels have gone through the roof. We're really pushing the players in training. Intensity's gone up. So we know that we're going to be in a better position now than what we were then. But it's just making sure on the day we make that count.
And just to Kirsty, obviously Jo said it's not a defining moment of the season, but what would it do psychologically for the squads and for yourself personally if you were to go that much clear?
Yeah, obviously having a gap at the top of the table, that's what we all want. I think that's just going to help us build momentum going into the rest of the games. But as I said earlier, it's still a long season, but it's just going to help build confidence and help us believe in ourselves a bit more that we're more than capable of doing it.
And just finally, how much do you feel your international duties have helped you in your domestic game?
Yeah, I think obviously getting international experience is great for a young player. Obviously we had 2 tough games last time, but I think they're only going to help me get better, and that's what every young player wants, is to be able to keep improving. And come up against tough opposition is always hard, but at the end of the day it's just going to make you a better player.
Jo, can I just ask, one quick final question. Malky spoke in previous years about the influence of the men's manager here. He said that Giovanni van Bronckhorst and Michael Beale spent time with the girls and maybe come in and spoke to them. Obviously Philip Clement has been here for a month now. Yeah. How have you found him, and has he had any influence or came to speak to you about the women's team and the women's side of it?
Yeah, we've not had too much interaction up to now. It's, you know, I think it's a busy time that he's taken over and he's got a job to do himself. So we've had a few conversations, not been too much influence on what we're doing and how we're doing things. I think, you know, that for as much as we do help each other out and we do have conversations about how things are going and how each other's finding it, I think that, you know, like he probably has a little bit of respect to say that's your bag, you stick to it, you know best in that role. So, you know, I'm sure there will come a moment where we do have a little bit more time to deep dive into things and have a good chat, but it's not come up yet.